BCYF. Okay.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. So we're joined by several departments and folks who will introduce themselves. My name is Mecca David. I'm the Commissioner of the Boston Centers for Youth and Families. I just wanted to welcome everyone. Thank you. If you're joining for the first time, welcome. If you're coming back, we thank you for the continued engagement in this process. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Niall Murphy from Public Facilities Department, and we'll just jump right in. I want to thank you again.
Thanks, Commissioner. Good evening, everyone. If you can all please make sure that your device is muted during the entire presentation, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for joining us tonight to hear about our progress on the Clougherty Pool project. Like Commissioner mentioned, my name is Niall Murphy, and I'm a project manager with the city's Public Facilities Department assigned to the Clougherty Pool project. I'm excited to be here tonight to share our updates, receive your feedback, and answer any questions that you may have. For tonight, you can move to the next slide, please, Agnes. For tonight, this is our agenda that we will be covering. First, we'll provide an analysis of the online survey results. I want to thank you all for all the thoughtful and insightful feedback that you provided the project team on your survey responses. This information, along with all the future feedback that we will receive, will continue to help guide us through the final design on this project. Then we'll provide an update on the selected pool layout design based on the feedback we received, along with an updated pool deck layout and bathhouse design. And finally, we'll provide an update on our schedule and logistics plan for work planned this summer before opening up to a question and answer period. We ask that you please not unmute yourself and ask a question in the middle of the presentation. It'd be appreciated if you hold all questions and comments until the Q&A period, but you can type a question into the chat while we're presenting. We'll be sure to answer that during the Q&A period. If you wish to ask a question during the Q&A, we ask that you raise your hand using the raised hand feature. So if you use your mouse and go to the bottom of the Zoom screen, you'll see an option that says reactions. If you click on reactions, you'll see raise hand. Once you raise your hand, I will then call on you and ask you to unmute yourself to ask a question or provide a comment. Thanks in advance for your patience during the Q&A period. I promise if you do raise your hand, we will get to your question. If we don't have an answer at this time, I'll take your contact information in the chat and we'll get back to you. Next slide, please.
Niall, 1 second. So if you also, just really quick, if you're on your phone, I think it's toggle 6 or toggle 9, just to raise your hand from your phone. I think one of those is, I'll look it up, but one of those is to unmute. One of those is to raise your hand, just in case you're on your phone. Sorry.
No problem. Thanks, Sean. And before we move on, I do want to just ask if there are any elected officials in the room, please unmute yourself and say hello, just so we can recognize you. Hi, Elaine. I just see that you jumped into the chat. Thanks for being here. Okay. We can move to the next slide, please. All right, so project team, I won't spend too much time on this slide, but I do want to recognize my cabinet chief, the chief of operations for Mayor Wu Dion Irish, and our director for the Public Facilities Department, who is on the call with us tonight, Kerry Griffin. Thanks, Kerry, for being here and all your support on this project. As you can see, it's very much a team effort between Public Facilities, BCYF, Neighborhood Services, our architects, Fenwick McCready, designers, consultants, and last but not least, the Charlestown community, who has helped provide some great input on this project thus far. So now I'd like to turn it over to Deborah Fenwick from our architecture team, Fenwick McCready, to continue the presentation.
All right. Thank you, Niall. And we're going to first move to going through our analysis of the community survey results. First thing I want to say is I'm really impressed with the amount of comments that we received and the quality of the comments. Those are really important at this. We're moving very quickly with this project. Getting these kinds of comments now has really facilitated this being a project that really reflects the community. So next slide. And the other thing I wanted to comment on, there were 624 responses, which is really remarkable. So the first question was about the pool options and which pool option did you feel meets the community's needs the best. This was the response pretty overwhelmingly preferred a 2-pool option. The advantage of a 2-pool option is there was a family pool or a pool that could accommodate families and children, and a lap pool that could accommodate adults in many different programs. Of the 2 pools that were presented, the pool option number 1 was the preferred, and it was that was the one that had, it was slightly larger pool and it had 6 lap lanes. We're going to be showing you the section after I go through the survey results. We're going to talk about how the design addresses your comments. Okay, next slide. Then there are 2 slides here about pool programming. This is really important information. Also, this will be decisions about programming will be made by BCYF closer to, further in the design process. But what's important right now to the design team, it's racing ahead with design, is to make sure that we can accommodate any of these programs. This first slide shows that both the swim lessons and lifeguard training are important to help you understand these pie charts. The red or orange color is very important. It's a very important element. Yellow is important, and gray, it's not important. So you can see that these 2 program elements are considered very important for the project. Next slide. And then we look at pool programming, the aquatic fitness, child spray structures, and senior aerobics. Again, were very popular, either rated as very important or important for the project. Next slide. Now we're going to look at the pool deck results. The first address seating, you can see again, group seating, individual seating, and tables were all considered very important. And in between individual seating and group seating, there seemed to be a stronger preference or rating of very important for the group seating. That will inform how we think about the seating, and then tables supplementing the seating are also something that is important to the community. Next slide. And then we have the most popular element that was surveyed was shade. 98% considered shade a very important element. This is, many comments about the pool, receiving sunlight bright sunlight all day. Very difficult to actually stay out on the pool deck at times because it's no shade provided. So this is something that will be a very important design element. Next. And here, bathhouse survey results. The first is bathhouse amenities. 2 elements that were questioned were about a community room and concessions. The concessions being one that half of the respondents felt was a very important element. The community room also, there was a lot of write-in about the community room, about its flexibility and a place to go to get relief from the sun. So these are 2 elements that have both been incorporated in the project. And next slide. And finally, this is a very important element that, again, there were a lot of great anecdotal comments about which were the universal and family locker rooms. And these are, we've maximized the number that we could fit into the building. It is, there was a lot of discussion about them accommodating families, providing changing areas and taking care of diapers and other important things for families. Also, they're gender neutral, so they're all of these are both available for families for more than one person to go into, and are not identified, assigned either men or women. And that's and I think we'll move on to the pool at this point. Mark.
Thank you, Deborah. My name is Mark Mariano with Weston & Sampson Engineers, and I'll be giving a little overview of the proposed pool we're going to find at the facility. So we were all very happy to see the response and outreach for what you guys are looking for, and I'm glad to say that what you're looking for is really something that we look forward to connecting the community in with. So looking at the pool concept, we listened to what you guys were looking for. You're looking at the two pool setup. We have the family pool and we have the lap pool. So a combined water surface of 7,700 square feet, and that will provide a roughly matching what we have for amenities in the bathhouse. The family pool is probably the most diverse pool that we have, and we're looking at water depths from 0 to 3 feet. Then the lap pool is also 3'6" to 8 feet. So with this program, we'll kind of go through the different features that we'll be seeing at each pool, and we transition on to the next slide. So the 0 depth entry is a critical element to fostering that learn to swim program. This allows children to, from any age and any ability, to be able to get into the water at any different level and any comfort level, and allow them to transition as they develop their skills into deeper water. This is also another heavily used recreational area for the spray features, and keeping with the some of the comments coming from the last meeting about accessibility, this will also allow any age, any ability to be able to access the pool via the ramped entry portion. This will probably be the most popular area of the pool and the most heavily used. So going on to the other features in the pool on the next slide. One of the other things that was stated is shade. It's nice to sunbathe, but it's really hot when you're in a concrete desert. So we will be incorporating some shade into the pool, so you'll be able to be in the pool, enjoy the water, and be out of the sun. Moving on to the next feature in the next slide. With the variable depth that we have in these pools, will allow for a lot of athletic and aerobic activities. As you can see to the north right here, we'll have a wide set of stairs. The set of stairs can be used for various things. Obviously, first off, entry into the pool, but they also end up being congregational areas. And we like to express very long, wide stairs to be able to allow people the freedom to come in and out, and also to be able to leisurely sit on them. On this end of the pool, you're looking at water depths from 2.5 feet down to 3.5 feet. And what that allows you to do is give an individual different buoyancy levels in the pool. So depending upon the activity that's provided, either being the swim program or being a senior aerobic, the instructor has the freedom to be able to design their program based upon their resistance and buoyancy. Going into the other features at the next pool. So we're looking at your lap pool. And one of the unique features of this pool is the ramp entry. As stated in the public meeting, accessibility is a crucial thing. So this ramped entry will allow any age, any ability to be able to get into the pool, and to be able to use all functions of the pool, same as anyone else. We do have a stair system that's getting into the pool, And as the community has stated throughout this project, they're looking for laps, lap lanes for recreational. So this is the pool you will typically see a lot more recreation occurring. We're looking at water depths from 4 feet down to 8 feet, which is perfect because that will match your lifeguard training purposes and needs. Plus, we'll also allow kids as they grow in age to go into a deeper water pool as they sharpen their swimming abilities. On this pool, rolling into the next slide, we will have other features such as the ability for the lifeguard training and potentially scuba classes based on the depths. Not saying that these programs are going to be offered, it's just the features that could be that are put into the pool to be able to foster these programs. Rolling into the next slide, we have starting blocks. So this is if in the future there is a community program where you do have some competition swimming at this, it is set up for competition swimming. It meets the USA Swimming and Diving standards for competition swimming. And with that, I'm going to transition it over to my colleague, Jonathan.
Thanks, Mark. Jonathan Law, Weston Sampson, design engineers. Go to the next slide, please, Agnes. So for those who recall the first meeting, as Mark already mentioned, pool option 1 was selected. And I just want to echo what my other colleagues have said so far this evening, that the feedback received has been really wonderful to see. And it really, shows how important this pool is to the local Charlestown community. So we're super thrilled that we've had so much great feedback. So this pool deck hasn't changed that much from the first option we presented at the last public meeting. I'd say the major moves, and I use major in parentheses, they're kind of small, is we have reduced the number or the amount of fixed seating. So we heard at that last meeting that people wanted the opportunity to bring their own chairs down to the pool. So for example, in the middle, we have no seating now. So if people want to come down and bring their own seats, they can do that. We changed the shade trellis structure on the opposite side of the 6-lane pool. One area of shade has fixed seating, and then another area is just an open shade structure where, again, people can come down and bring their own chairs and sit beneath the shade. The location of the tables and chairs are still in flux. The exact location is still to be determined as we move along this process, but we're looking at tables and chairs closer to the bathhouse building. And then as we move closer to the pool areas and beyond, we're looking at more lounging type of seating. We still have the tensile shade structures over the bleachers. We're still researching the possibility of making the bleachers accessible to everybody. So providing some type of ramp system up to other levels on the bleachers. Again, that is still sort of in design considerations right now. We softened the edge against the Olmsted Park with some planting, add color and texture, but at the same time, providing that view through to the Olmsted Park and the Mystic River beyond. And again, paving, the patterns and the colors are still in sort of design process, but we wanted to break up the deck of this pool into different colors and different pavers to create different spaces within the overall areas of the pool. Next slide, please. So this is again a view looking towards the Mystic. So you can see the zero entry pool Mark mentioned. So you walk in the zero entry pool here. We've got the tensile shade structures on the right over the existing bleachers. In some areas of the bleachers, we've still added the concept of the wooden seats, which people liked at the last meeting. You can see on the left side of the 6-lane lap pool, we have the new shade structures. And then at the end, the ornamental planting areas that again frame views to the Mystic beyond. Next slide, please. As we swing around kind of more above the pool, 6-lane lap pool, you can see, again, paving, showing how the spaces are broken up. And then as I mentioned earlier, the space between the two pools has been left open for people to bring their own chairs down and sit down there. So, but again, if people would like to see some more fixed seating placed back in that location, we can certainly do that. So we've got a nice combination of both. Again, I mentioned the shade structure. So we have the lounge fixed seating beneath the larger shade structure, but then the one closer to the end of the pool, we have left that open for people to sit on their own chairs. Next slide, please. Just looking back towards the building in the distance, the two shade structures. So again, shade area with fixed seating beneath, and then the one to the right with left open for people to sit on their own chairs. We would have shown that, but the computer program we used, we couldn't find any deck chairs, so we didn't just show that. And then again, as I mentioned, you know, the paving patterns that we're creating adjacent to the pool create visual interest as well as for people that use the pool. Next slide, please. Looking straight back up the pool building, the two shade structures on the right. And again, you know, we talked about previously that the shade can create nice patterns as well, and interesting visual areas within the pool deck itself. So, you know, that's another nice feature. Again, the central space left open, and then in the far distance on the left, the tensile shade structures over a portion of the existing bleachers. And if you see here, the kids on the bottom left love this place already. So next slide, please. And then finally, just an aerial looking back over Olmsted Park, 6-lane lap pool. You can see how the paving again is breaking the spaces up into individual areas, providing color, texture, shade structures over the bleachers, and then the new shade structures that are divided into two areas on the right side of the pool.
I said, so why couldn't you say anything?
And then the zero entry pool with the table and chair seating in front of the pool building. And with that, I think I pass it back over to Deborah. Thank you.
You do. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. So now we'll go through the bathhouse. Next slide. Yeah, so this is a theme for all aspects of this facility, creating something that's fully accessible and adopts the universal design strategies that accommodate people of all ages and people of all abilities. So just to remind you, we are demolishing and rebuilding the pool and the pool deck. And we are maintaining the existing building, and we're going to be modernizing the existing building. And we're looking at the existing building here. The major addition to this, the form of the building, is elevator popping out of the top of the pool. What is it? The terrace level. So let's go to the plans, and I can talk about those things that have responses to the comments that we talked about earlier. I think a major item that has been added to this level, which was something that was brought up actually at the last community meeting, was a first aid space, for lifeguards, place where they could get out immediately to the pool deck to accommodate any kind of emergency, and or anyone who needed first aid help. They're readily accessible from the deck. Oh, and just to orient you, the top of the page is where the pools are. See, those arrows are connecting from the pool house to the pool deck. Another area that has been refined is the lobby. We've included a reception area. That's where everyone will come in and check in. It's also an area that's very central in this plan that can hear and see most of the facility, or on this level. So we've maintained the stairs. That is the one element that's staying on the inside. Otherwise, we are clearing out all of the existing equipment and walls, leaving just those two stairs and fully modernizing this level. The major feature that we're adding here is the new elevator, which is easily seen from the lobby and accessible from the lobby, which will service this floor, the second floor, and the deck, the roof deck. So universal locker rooms, we have 2 of the family universal locker rooms, and 2 individual restrooms, as close as they can be to the pool deck, access to the pool deck, Those are spaces that, again, are going to have a lot of amenities for families. We're going to have changing tables in both the men's and women's locker room, as well as the universal locker rooms, and other provisions for, as I was talking about before, for diapers and other requests that were here. There were some elements like bottle fillers, and also what was the other one? And swimsuit dryers that we are going to also try to accommodate on this level. There are lockers added to the plan in the lobby area. So those will be available for anyone, and they're in an area that is sort of observable from reception from the occupied part of the building. And then we have our two major locker rooms to get in our fixture count, which we need to accommodate the population, which is based on the size of the pools. So let's go up to the second level. And here is where this level now accommodates the community room and concessions area, which is across the way. The concessions area will be a place for a vendor to stage concessions. There won't be cooking on the premises, but there will be the facilities, the infrastructure for staging, providing, staging things that need to be accommodated to keep things warm and frozen and all that, so that they can be sold. The community room is a space that can serve as, it really feels as an extension to the concessions area. One can go to the concessions area and then have lunch in the community room. That room can also be used for any number of activities that were mentioned in the surveys. And we will have some storage in this area so that it can accommodate some of the activities that are anticipated for that space. Another feature of this, we are maintaining the walls around the building. They are actually structural, so there's not much we can do to those walls, but we are working with our structural engineers to be able to lower the two large windows facing the pool area so that there will be good visibility of the pool from the community room. We have two universal locker rooms on this level. And importantly, the lifeguard office is also on this level with great views of the pool deck. And then we can go to the roof level. And here we have, you can see that the elevator services this level as well as the west stair. This area toward the bottom of the page is we're maintaining the canopy, the sort of concrete canopy that we actually have to rebuild it to install the elevator, but that will be maintained. So that'll be a shaded area on this level. There's an area that we've identified as concessions that can be a storage area, again, servicing whatever activities are going to happen on the roof deck. We're going to also improve the safety of the space with new railings, and there'll be a whole new surface on the roof terrace, making it a great addition really to the functioning of the building and the fact that it's fully accessible via the new elevator. And with that, I'm going to pass this back to Niall to talk about logistics.
Thanks, Deborah. Next slide, please. So as far as our schedule goes, not much has changed from when we met in February. For those of you who were not able to attend last month, I'll provide a quick overview of our strategy and schedule on this project. So we are targeting a summer 2024 pool opening. So our schedule has been developed to work backwards from there. To meet that aggressive timeline of a summer 2024 opening, we are splitting the procurement and construction on this project into two phases or two separate packages. The first package that we're going to go out to bid for in April is for the demolition and hazmat remediation portion of the construction. So that construction is planned to begin this summer. We will be demoing the two existing pools, the entire pool deck, the filtration equipment and systems below the deck, and a portion of the retaining walls and fence. While that's taking place, we will have finished our 100% design drawings for the new pools and the renovated bathhouse, and we'll be going out to bid for the construction of the pools, the pool deck, and the renovation of the bathhouse. We plan to start that construction in the fall, right after the demolition is complete. Like we mentioned last month, for summer 2024, the pool is planned to be open with temporary facilities because the bathhouse renovation work will just not be complete in time. So what that means is that we will have trailers with bathroom and shower facilities at the site for summer 2024. The logistics for that plan is still in development, and we will show that at a future community meeting. The bathhouse renovation work will be complete for summer 2025. So in 2025, you'll have all of the facilities ready to go for that summer. You can go to the next slide, please. So this is a preliminary high-level logistics plan. It is subject to change slightly when we have a contractor on board for the demolition this summer. But everything you see highlighted in yellow will be a construction zone area during the demolition. So at the top of this picture is St. Martin Street, which will be the primary access point for construction vehicles. It's where that gate currently is, where the Parks Department utilizes to bring their vehicles in to remove trash and clean the park. Our laydown area is going to be on the basketball courts, which will be repaired with a new court and hoops replaced once the project is complete. As you can see with the shading, we do have it covering the swing set and the splash pad. We've gone back and forth on the splash pad being accessible this summer during demolition. And we talked about it and got some feedback last month during our in-person meeting. But we feel that it is safest to have that area closed and fenced off during construction. The edge of the splash pad is roughly about 10 to 12 feet away from where we would be working, demoing that retaining wall that holds the deck. And due to dust, noise, and just general safety, we don't believe it would be conducive to have that area on the splash pad filled with children while work is taking place. So this is a large demolition project. The Parks Department is still going to turn on the water on the splash pad starting Memorial Day weekend, like they do every year throughout the city. And we will keep the splash pad open until our contractor needs to mobilize. We don't have a set date for that yet because we haven't even gone out to bid for a contractor. We'll be doing that in the next few weeks, but we will be sure to communicate updates when we get closer to that time. We're in communication with the Parks Department and BCYF to find alternatives to help supplement the loss of this splash pad in Doherty Park for the Charlestown community, and we'll provide again more updates on that as more plans are developed. Pedestrian access, as you can see with the arrows, will also be from St. Martin Street. The playground area will remain open and accessible. It's just the swings and the splash pad, because of their proximity to the pool, will not be accessible during construction. We are planning fencing across the left side of where you see the shading, which there are stairs coming down from Doherty Park from Bunker Hill Street. We don't believe those will be accessible during construction. So the main access point for pedestrians will be off of St. Martin or to the north side, coming up the ramp in Olmsted Park will be accessible as well. Again, we'll have another community meeting before construction starts this summer to go through logistics in more detail once we have a contractor on board, so that we can develop plans with them and communicate them effectively to you all. Next slide, please. All right. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to questions and answer period. I will say one thing, we are recording this meeting, so it will be posted on BCYF's website. I know a few folks joined a little late and may have missed some of the beginning portion of the presentation, so you can catch up once we post this online. We'll also post the presentation as well, so you have that. And if you can just please raise your hand, I'll call on you to ask a question, and we'll also skim the chat to make sure we didn't miss anything in there. But to ask a question, there's a reactions button down below on the bottom of the Zoom screen. If you click on that and hit the raise hand button, that's how you can identify yourself, and I'll ask you to unmute. And then project team, Deborah, Jonathan, Mark, if we did miss any questions in the chat, please call those out and we can try to answer them if we haven't just yet.
I responded to most of them now that were related to the pool deck.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
There was a
Kath-
question. Oh, there was a question about lifeguard. Oh, sorry.
This is Marta, sorry, there's a question also about whether the Parks Department splash pad will remain.
Yes, that will remain. Once we're done with construction, that'll be open back up to the community. So summer 2024, the splash pad will be back. Nadine, to your question about the lifeguard room, it's really, we're limited with space on the first floor of the bathhouse, or in the bathhouse in general, right? We're dealing with the existing bathhouse and site conditions. We do have a first aid room that can be used as a lifeguard area when first aid is not being administered. That does have windows that view right out to the pool deck. We are going to be looking at widening those windows. And similarly, up on the second floor where we do have the lifeguard office proposed, that has windows with a direct view and a stairwell immediately off of the lifeguard room that has, views to the pool and pool deck.
Yeah, and Niall, I'll add that the stairs go directly, there's a direct stair down to the pool deck from right outside the door of the lifeguard space. So it's a, quick access via that stair.
It looks like someone on their iPhone has the hand raised.
Okay, I will ask you to unmute.
Yeah, sorry about that. Has there been any thought at all into putting some parking in up there? Because it is one of the biggest headaches during the summer is Bunker Hill Street, the double parking of people and kids running out into the middle of the street. And at that same time, right, during construction, I know it's going to be in phases and worked out, to the best of how efficient you can get it. But I mean, I work on construction sites and I can tell you parking is one of the biggest issues that, guys face going to work.
Yeah, we do see that all the time with our projects too, being that they're all in the city. Parking is tight in Charlestown in general. And this is a difficult area for that. I don't see surrounding the site on St. Martin or Bunker Hill Street any area that we could consider accommodating parking. Unfortunately, it's just the nature of where this location is, and a very heavy residential area as well. You know, a lot of residents parking on the street. So, you know,
I mean, not even just parking though, right? Because I know a lot of people nowadays, especially if you have kids, nobody's walking to a pool with, you know, bags full of stuff that they're bringing, right? They're gonna jump in an Uber or a Lyft. Would there be anywhere for the cars to even like pull over or, you know, drop people off? Because it does cause a massive problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we can take a look at. We can talk to the transportation department. We'll work with Sean Breen, the neighborhood services liaison, on that and see if there's any accommodation we could provide, maybe just during pool operation hours and days during the summer months. But yeah, we appreciate that comment and feedback. You know, I'm sure it's a concern
Right.
for people.
Yeah, I mean, there is the bus stop there, but it's, I don't know, you ever try to get home or, you know, if you're running late to something and all of a sudden, you know, a Nissan just stops dead middle of Bunker Hill Street to let somebody in or out. It's, you know.
No, we can talk to our partners at Boston Transportation to see if there's any sort of signage we could do to your suggestion during pool hours.
That would be great.
I see Councillor Mejia has joined us. Hi, Councillor.
Good afternoon, good evening. I just wanted to just thank you all for hosting these conversations and really creating space for you all to be informed by the residents. So I just wanted to show up and just thank you for your efforts and just to let those people out in Charlestown know that I'm listening and paying attention. And I want to be helpful however you see fit. So thank you for creating the space.
Thank you, Councillor.
Do y'all want me to ask some questions soon? Because I will if you need me to. Otherwise, I'm here to listen just in case.
I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them, Councillor.
Yeah, actually, some of my questions would be more for just kind of like, I'd love to see how things are coming along from a community perspective, like, you know, your journey and so far, and anything that we could potentially do to, you know, be more supportive. I know the city has been deeply engaged in a process that has been creating space for Charlestown residents to really inform a lot of the decisions, but I'm just curious, from a community engagement standpoint, you know, is there anything else that you might potentially, I have my pen ready to go, any other feedback? I'd love to hear from y'all. That has nothing to do with the pool in itself, but just kind of like your process in general, if you're care to share. And if not, if everything's all good, you know, or if there's areas of bright spots, things that you think have been going really well, things that you are still a little bit, you know, pondering on. I see Colleen smiling over there. I don't know what that means, but.
I'll just say a few things. I mean, this process has been going really well, and I think the survey results were clear, and I think we're just sorting out things like shading and, you know, decking and things like that, but just the community's definitely spoken and the team's been responsive. Right. So I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything, but just being with it from the beginning, it's been awesome to see this come together.
Yep.
And we thank you for your support and the support of our, you know, our district counselor and other at-large counselors that really heard our call.
No. I am incredibly encouraged by how the city has responded, and that's why I've said, you know, like I've been hearing, and I know that this is just the second meeting, but I know that even before getting here, there's been a number of different steps that have been taken to really be led by community, and I think that the infrastructure that you all are creating here, I think is a great model that I think we need to replicate this process across the city with other issues that come up, because I think that you all have really created the infrastructure for what it really looks like to be led by community. So happy to see that. And I want to see that all across the city. Okay, City of Boston folks who are here, that's a mandate. We want to see that everywhere. The love and the energy that you're getting here, it's great to see the evolution of this revolution, right? From our last time, our first encounter to now, it really speaks volumes to the work that the city has done to have this people led. So thank you for that. It's good to see you, Colleen. All right. Y'all must got these people in check. Look at them. They're like, good job. Way to go, City of Boston. I'm not going to occupy space for the sake of occupying. I just really wanted you all to see me and to know that I am with you all, and I'm happy to be supportive in any way that you see fit. So it's great to be in community with you all. I am going to go on mute because it's not about me, it's about y'all. So enough holding up space. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thanks again, Counselor.
Now I see another question in the chat regarding privacy for the homes closest to the pool deck.
Let me just take a look.
I've been responding to that.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Jonathan.
I think also, though, there is some natural shading due to the kind of growth in that area of some small trees and bushes in between the fencing and the abutters' properties. We will most likely need to remove most of that area and clean it all up as a part of this project, this demolition of this project. But we will be looking at replacing in that area some type of greenery or bushes to create some privacy there for the abutting properties. But we don't want it to overgrow like it did, over the last few years. So we're going to be cognizant of that and what we put there. And Stephanie, you have your hand raised now.
Yeah, just to follow up on that question, when you're talking about removing the growth in that area, currently it's mostly mature trees. So would those trees all have to come down as part of this plan?
That we're currently reviewing that right now. There are some mature trees, but a lot of it is kind of, overgrowth bushes, downed limbs in that area. But we may need to shore the retaining wall where the bleachers are in that area. So we would have to get some access back there. And with the current state of that area, we would have to remove some of the small trees that impede that area.
No, I would also suggest we're not going to go in there and just start ripping down trees. If we need to look at that, we'll have an arborist on board, and we'll work with our partners at Parks.
Thanks, Carrie. Nora, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Hi, yes, I'm part of the Friends of Doherty Park, and so if there's going to be any changes with the trees or anything else, we'd like to be part of that. We are planning on, after listening to what's going on with the pool and the scope and what the final plans were, we were going to go back to the city and talk about replanting the right trees. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Norway maple trees, especially in the front of the park, that, especially this winter, there's a lot of limbs down. It's pretty bad over there, as well as missing spots for trees. And so we would just like to be included, and we were planning on doing a project and putting in for a grant to replace some of the trees. So we just want to be, we'd like to be included as you guys are talking about what you're going to be doing with the park. And we've been on hold to put together a grant, waiting to hear what the pool is going to do. And I think Kathy Eclipse Baker is on the phone. We've reached out to her. So we were very excited about it, and we think you're doing great. And we just, as you're looking forward to planting and everything else, we'd just like to be included. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Colleen, I see your question in the chat about the plantings on the pool deck at the north side of it, at the far end.
Yeah.
And to potentially minimize that, so we can take a look at that.
Yeah, just thinking people probably won't hang out behind the starting blocks of the lap pool, right? It'll be more that area where it's a little more seating and the pergola, I think. That was just an area where having plantings would obstruct the view of the Mystic, potentially.
Well, so the planting there is going to be low planting to provide a little bit of color and texture. We left the area directly behind the pool open. There's some seats behind, or some lounges behind the starting blocks there, which will provide ample view of the Mystic. But we just wanted to soften that back edge. That's something that we heard at last meeting, that people might like to have some color and texture in there. But again, the planting is not going to limit anybody from viewing the Mystic at all. It'll still be views wide open.
Okay, I might have just misread the plans a little bit. The height wasn't really clear to me.
Okay. As we come near the end of this meeting, I'm going to throw my email address in the chat, so everyone has it in case there are project-specific questions that you have, or things that you would like us to be aware of. Please don't hesitate to email that to me. The Friends of the Clougherty Pool Group has my contact information. Any last questions, comments? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for this. This was another great meeting. We really appreciate the engagement and the help thus far in this project. It's been fantastic to hear all the great ideas and feedback that the community has that we're incorporating into this project, and we're looking forward to a successful project here moving forward.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the partnership.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Take care.
Right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Charlotte.